Welcome to Scotty and Motty. And as you can see, my bald-bearded partner is laughing away. We've decided that we're going to start doing our own YouTube channel to basically talk culture, everything from football to film, what else, culture to all sorts of crap. That rhymes, doesn't it? I'm a poet on the side. And that's what we're going to talk about. So, hello, Justin. Do you want to introduce yourself?
Justin, very formal here, eh? Yeah.
You're Jace. I thought we were going for that Newsnight audience.
Thought that ship sailed, mate. Yeah. Otherwise known as J Motty. But as Scotty's mentioned there, this is the first time me and him have been chatting. We thought we'd do something a little different. I'm mainly on full-time Devils doing football stuff. Scotty, you've been doing a lot of stuff music-based. So we thought we just, because we're mates, go back a long time, can't get rid of each other, always chatting shit to each other. We thought, why not record it and see what everyone thinks?
Yeah.
Not happy with the name, though, mate. Scotty and Motty, what's all that about?
What do you mean? Did you want Motty first?
Alphabetically and, age-wise and level of importance as well. What do you know? What makes you think you should Scotty and Motty?
I was going off looks. And I know you've gone all hipster in lockdown.
Yeah, we're eating avocado soon, me, and listening to Coldplay.
You've got avocados like bog roll nowadays, mate.
Well, you'd say it's like bog roll. You'll get me eating it.
Oh, yeah. David, you buy that.
What? You've got a list, haven't you? You're like the professional one out of the two of us. You've actually decided what we're going to be chatting about.
I'm glad you said that I'm the professional one. Well, first up, we're going to be talking about like film reviews, and because I'm sick of going on social media and everyone's saying what you're watching on Netflix or Prime or other streaming services, and then you invest. Cause it's hard enough to get through Netflix. You spend more time, don't you, trying to choose something rather than the time you do watching it. So I want to talk about what people have been watching in lockdown, and have you ever had any bad reviews, and how do you gauge what person do you trust with for a review?
When you say have you ever had bad reviews, what do you mean? Do you mean like
I don't mean performance reviews yourself.
I mean, you're because you're a performer where you might have had bad reviews, not that you're not a good performer.
No, I've had one bad review, and I will not be playing in Wigan again. No, I mean, like if you go to someone and they're into, let's put it this way: if someone says to me their top 5 films has a Fast and the Furious in it, I don't know how many of them is in it, or a Danny Dyer film, then I'm sorry, I'm not taking any advice from you. Nonsense. So yeah, that's what I mean. Do you have a go-to amount of people? Because time's precious, man, and I'm not wasting time fucking investing in other people's shit.
You know what? It's funny you mentioned Danny Dyer. The worst film I've ever seen, right? And you mentioned reviews is City Rats, right? It's called City Rats. They've got on Rotten Tomatoes. It's one of those few films I think on Rotten Tomatoes that has a 0% rating. It's that bad. Not one reviewer gave it a good review. Usually, you'll get even if the worst film in the world will get like 11% or whatever. Do you know what I mean? But yeah, it's got like 0% rating on Rotten Tomatoes, because going back to your earlier point, that's something I always check Rotten Tomatoes, even though it's flawed, because like I think it's Dead Man's Shoes or something. It's only got like 50%, which is fucking ridiculous. But I do check that, and I don't know. The trouble is, like you say, now we're in this lockdown thing as well. Everyone's got a recommendation. Everyone's got, you got to watch this. You check this out, and sometimes I'm a bit wary because, like you say, my tastes are a bit different from a lot of people's, and not for a lot of people, some people. So, like my mum and dad always recommending films to me, but they laugh at anything. Like they like some sort of they'll watch anything. So I'm a bit wary, but yeah, that's the thing. You've got like social media now where everyone's like, oh, you got to watch this, you got to watch that. But the most of the time, I just pivot towards Rotten Tomatoes. That's what I use as a guy.
What was it deserved of a 0%? And see, I'm intrigued to watch it, because if it's seriously bad, then you just got to watch it. That'll have some entertainment value.
No. Like some films are that bad, they're good.
Yeah.
Like I'm trying to think of an example where a film is that shit. You just like the cult classic is The Room. Have you ever seen that film, The Room?
No.
Right. There's going down a bit of rabbit hole here, but bear with me. Right. There's a film called The Disaster Artist. Which stars James Franco.
Yeah.
And it's based on the making of a film called The Room.
No.
Now, the film The Room is one of the worst films ever made. It was made by this guy called Tommy Wiseau, who's very sort of a mysterious character, had loads of money, could barely speak English, claimed he was from Louisiana. He obviously wasn't. Somehow managed to fund this film, wrote this film, funded it, would take like 30, 40 takes. The plot made no sense. There was sort of massive plot holes. All the dialogue was very sort of similar. It was like a complete shambles, the film, but it's that bad it's good. If you ever watched it, I've actually watched it, and it is terrible, but it's actually funny because it's that bad. And that's why James Franco made a film off the back of it, on the making of it, because this Tommy Wiseau character, or Tommy Wiseau character, was so fascinating. So that's one of those where it's that bad it's good. But with City Rats, it's just depressing. It's crap. It's offensively bad. It's like you're angry at how bad it is. Do you know what I mean? It's like, how has this film even got fucking funding?
Yeah.
Why Tamer Hassan's in it as well, who all right, he's in a lot of dross, but he can be quite good, Tamer Hassan. I quite like him. And I'm thinking, why is he in this? You know, what Danny Dyer, all right. Danny Dyer made about 10 films a year, didn't he, at one point?
Yeah.
So that's not really saying much. But there's just, honestly, mate, I give you 15 minutes before you give up.
Yeah.
Like, it's one of the films, everyone's in films where you keep watching because you think it's got to get better, and it doesn't. It's like that. It's one of those films where you're like, surely something's going to happen here, or something's going to kick off, or it can't be this bad all the way through, but it fucking is. It's terrible.
See, I thought you were going to talk about offensively bad because it's offensive to Cockneys. I always wonder when it comes to these like Danny Dyer films or Football Factory. It's like we're both Mancunians and we love our city.
Hey, that's a revelation for anyone watching.
Breaking news: we're both from Manchester. Do you know what I mean? Like when people put the typical Manc accent on in the Parker and shit like that, and they just play it up 110%. But when Danny Dyer does it on behalf of London, that's what I thought. Do you reckon Cockneys get really wound up? Like, nobody fucking talks like that.
fucking slag, I'll catch your face, Dyer. I don't know. Do you know what I think's worse? Right, because the thing with Danny Dyer, he's like Sean Connery in it. If you put Danny Dyer in any film, he's Danny Dyer.
Yeah.
Do you know, or Jeff Goldblum. Jeff Goldblum was Jeff Goldblum in any film. You know what I mean? Whether he's...
I'd watch a Jeff Goldblum film.
You what, sorry?
I'd watch a Jeff Goldblum film.
Yeah, he's if he's in The Fly, if he's in Independence Day, if he's in whatever, he's just Jeff Goldblum. Danny Dyer is the same in whatever he is. But I always feel like what makes me laugh is when you have someone like Ray Winston, who he's quite similar. He's like Ray Winston in any film, but then he'll be in like The Departed, where he's Ray Winston, but he's a Boston gangster.
Yeah.
Or he's in Beowulf, where he's a Danish cartoon character saying, I've come to kill your monster. I'll catch it. And you're like, what? What's going on here? Why is Ray Winston in a cartoon where he's playing a Danish superhero? Or whatever he is, a medieval warrior. So it's just like, it doesn't make any sense. So I think with Danny Dyer, he doesn't really act. He just turns up, doesn't he, and reads his lines.
I don't think maybe he doesn't like leaving London. Do you know what I mean? At least Ray Winston went to like mythical land, or where was he in Sexy Beast? He was somewhere getting a tan, wanting Mallorca, which is a brilliant film.
That is. Yeah, I'll give you that one, mate. Well said. And that's one of my favourite films, actually. And I love the sort of casting against type where, all right, Ray Winston's a gangster. There's nothing shocking there, but Gandhi is bullying him, which is like, and it works.
Yeah.
At no point do you think Ray Winston could just kick his head in and you can get rid of him. Yeah. You proper buy into the idea that he's scared of Ben Kingsley, and Ben Kingsley is running the show. So I love that film. It's weird with that one, isn't it? Because you remember after Lock, Stock, and Danny Dyer was part of this, you had constant stream of just Cockney gangster shite films that came up, like Love, Honor and Obey, and Rancid Aluminium, and just awful films, just horrible.
Yeah.
But there was one or two. The Sexy Beast was one of them that was quite good. Was very good. Gangster Number One was all right as well with Paul Bettany.
I really like Gangster Number One.
Yeah, those were the two exceptions to the rule.
Yeah,
but by and large, you had like just studios were just churning out these films, weren't they? Trying to jump on the Lock, Stock.
Yeah.
Sort of zeitgeist, and it didn't really happen. But those were two exceptions. And Sexy Beast, it's fucking brilliant. I love that film. I'm always quoting it. I love it. Ben Kingsley in that is one of my favourite all-time performances.
Yeah, it's best thing Gandhi's ever done that. I think just above Indian independence, I thought Sexy Beast.
Just above getting 1 billion people their freedom.
Yeah,
was his performance in Sexy Beast.
If he's got a CV, then I think then I think Indian independence will come below Sexy Beast. But it's a good point you make. I really loved Lock, Stock, but it was very evident that Guy Ritchie was trying to follow Quentin Tarantino, because nobody talks like that at all.
Oh, you see,
go on.
No, I don't want to. Sorry, you make a point, and someone tweeted this the other day. Someone I like, Rick, this lad that I know and I like. He tweeted he'd watched Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, and he was like, nothing happened in that film. Like, where did it go? And then someone else chimed in, oh, you know, people don't talk like that. And the thing I always think with Tarantino is, you're right. No one talks like that, and you don't. But it's almost what you expect from him.
Yeah.
And I think, you know, like, if you're gonna watch a Tarantino film, you're not gonna watch it's not Schindler's List or Shakespeare.
No.
And you are gonna get dialogue that's not real and true to life, because no hitmen don't talk like that to each other. Or do you know what I mean?
How many hitmen do you know to
Well, that's yeah. No.
You're doing a disservice there to hitmen. Some of the
Well, I was chatting to my mate who's a hitman.
Yeah.
My mate Dave, who's kills people for money. He speaks normally, like he speaks like us.
All right, okay.
but no, all right, you can imagine it doesn't sort of seem realistic, does it?
Right, okay.
You know what I mean? Or not even Pulp Fiction's a bad example, because actually that's quite a good film and the dialogue's quite good. But when you watch like Hateful Eight or whatever, and I'm not sensitive, but for me there is an overuse of the N-word, I think, a lot of the time, and it's like it doesn't ring true. But it's Tarantino, you know. At the end, I don't want to be a plot spoiler here, but Inglourious Bastards, I remember people sort of saying, well, that's not how the war ended. You think, well, he's not making a fucking war documentary, is he? Do you know what I mean? It's like what made me laugh about Once Upon a Time in Hollywood was I actually saw people complaining about the violence in it, saying the violence towards women. Now, anyone who's read anything about the Tate Bianca murders will know that what he showed us was actually a better version or a softer version than what really went down. It could have been horrendous. And I was dreading it because when I went to the cinema to watch it, and I knew what it was based on. So I was expecting to see that at the end. And I was thinking that's going to be horrific to see, especially if Tarantino does it. And he didn't. He did something else, which again was violent, but not as bad as it could have been. So I think, it's like your expectation in it, like, yes, okay, he does have dialogue that doesn't mean true. And a lot of his films do sort of, some of them, not all of them, but do sort of peter out into nothing. You think, what went on there? But that's him. And I think, it's like, he sort of does what he says on the tin. And he's almost proud of that, isn't he, Tarantino?
Yeah. That's a good point. What do you make about his use of the N-word? Do you mind talking about that? Because I just find it quite interesting. I don't know how many other shows or podcasts talk about it, but does he get creative license when he's creating characters to write about that? Because I'm a massive hip hop fan, and I'm always conscious that I know certain rappers or white rappers have said the N-word in the past, and or Jennifer Lopez, who's Puerto Rico. So I just wonder why does he get away with it from an artistic point of view?
It's a good question, because it's up for debating it, because him and Spike Lee famously fell out over it. Spike Lee and Samuel L. Jackson fell out over it because Samuel L. Jackson was appearing in Tarantino films. Samuel L. Jackson and Spike Lee go way back. They had a bit of a spat, and apparently the wives had to sort it out. They fell out for about 5 years over it. Because Spike Lee said he's got an obsession with this word and why does he use it. Samuel L. Jackson defended him, saying, it's like you say, it's artistic license, whatever. I just think sometimes I haven't got a problem with people using that word for a reason and as a film, and especially when you're portraying characters. If you're portraying a character who would use that word, then he should use that word. If you're portraying a character, it'd be ridiculous if in Django Unchained people weren't dropping M-bombs. It's slavery. People are going to be using that word.
Slavery, the PG version.
Yeah. Now listen to me, you African American. You get back in those fields and you pick that cotton, otherwise you'll feel the back of my hand. It'd be ridiculous. So I get that, but I remember watching The Hateful Eight, and even I'm not soft, and I'm, me, Scotty. I don't use the N-word myself, just a personal thing, unless I'm singing along to a song, whatever. I tend not to use it, but I was like pretty sort of not shocked. I'm trying to think of the right word. It's probably maybe a little bit like miffed at the amount of times he used it, or it was used in a film. I felt it sort of became overused, and it was unnecessary, and it was just like it's like a kid who's swearing for the first time.
Yeah.
and starts, you know, every other word's fucking shit and bugger because they've started learning how to
Yeah,
swear.
yeah.
It felt a bit like that, and it was almost distracting from the. I mean, I think that's a bad film, and I think it's his worst ever film.
It's well overrated.
Yeah.
I don't like cowboy films anyway, as a rule, because my dad likes cowboy films, and I just thought. Honestly, the only cowboy film I quite liked, and I'm not too sure if it's a cowboy film, was Brokeback Mountain. Funnily enough, I thought that was a decent film. But yeah, I think that Tarantino did it in The Hateful Eight very much as a response to Spike Lee. It's like, all right, Spike, dickhead. You think I've got because he should have been dropping more of that word in Django Unchained than he should have done in The Hateful Eight, really, because it gives you context. So I think it is. I mean, Spike Lee's an argumentative bastard as well, isn't he? I think he's one.
Oh, I mean, Spike Lee. I like Clint Eastwood. You know, going back to what you said about cowboy films, have you ever seen Unforgiven?
Was that the one with Sharon Stone?
No, that's The Quick and the Dead. Right. Unforgiven is with Clint Eastwood, Morgan Freeman, Gene Hackman. In my opinion, for what it's worth, best Western ever made. Just giving you a heads up. Go and check that out. Even if you don't like cowboy films, you should love it. It's
I trust you, Justin.
It's amazing. It's an amazing film. It's got one of the best scenes ever in cinema, in my opinion, at the end. But yeah, he had to go at Clint Eastwood because Clint Eastwood, who has made lots of films with lots of black actors, and you know, I think he made I forget the name of the one. Is it Birdie or whatever? The one about the jazz singer Charlie Parker. Yeah. He works with Morgan. I know just because you work with Morgan Freeman doesn't mean you make loads of black films, but he's always worked with black actors. I don't think there's an issue there of Clint Eastwood having any sort of racist bone in his body or being a racist. I know he's quite conservative type in real life, but he's not racist or anything like that in his filmmaking. And Spike Lee had a go at him. I think it was the Letters from Iwo Jima. I'm probably getting the pronunciation that wrong because he didn't use enough black actors. And Clint Eastwood pointed out, he said, I've actually used, like it was when the image of the American soldiers putting the flag. He said, I've used actors that portray those soldiers, and those soldiers were that colour. Yeah. They were Caucasian. I think one of them was mixed race of some sort. Forgive me, I'm not au fait with the exact ethnic background of him, but he's kept it true to
the story.
Yeah. But Spike Lee was like, went in on him both barrels. And I remember thinking, really? Is that, I don't think there's an issue. I don't think there's an argument here. I don't think there's an issue here. So, you're right. Spike Lee can be quite militant, which is one of the reasons that makes him such a good filmmaker, because he's willing to tackle those issues and tackle them head on. And obviously, and doing brilliantly, like he didn't do the right thing. I think that's one of the best films of all time. And he handles race and that sort of era as well in America really well. And few filmmakers could have done that. So sometimes he gets it right. Most times he gets it right, but sometimes he gets it wrong. But I don't think there was like an issue with Clint Eastwood. But I get it with Tarantino, because it does get a little bit like, really? Like, is that, is it necessary? Or it's almost like a cartoon.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I think the trouble you've got with Tarantino as well is, going back to our original point about reviews, the critics love him, don't they?
Yeah.
And I think sometimes you get false reviews with Tarantino. He's like the darling of a lot of critics. A lot of critics grew up on his films, Reservoir Dogs, Pulp Fiction, when they were kids. These are now 30, 40-year-old people who love Tarantino, and he can do no wrong.
Yep.
And I always think sometimes you get misleading reviews for his films. I think some of his films post Pulp Fiction have been a bit average, if I'm being honest.
Yeah, his legacy goes before his work, I think.
Yeah, no, it's a good point. I mean, if Kill Bill was on the telly, I wouldn't watch it.
No.
Volume 1 or 2, and same with Hateful Eight. Django's a good film. Again, Glorious Bastards, a bit patchy, but all right. But I thought Once Upon a Time in Hollywood was decent. I enjoyed it.
Yeah, I really enjoyed that. I thought the friendship between Brad Pitt and Leonardo DiCaprio was one of the best. It was like a buddy movie, wasn't it? I think up until the end. I thought them two was really, really good together.
They were, and I like the little sort of. There's like a little bit of a sort of a sinister undertone to it as well, with the whole Manson thing.
It, weren't you?
Yeah, do you know what I mean? I had me on edge a little bit because I'm thinking, what's coming here? And when he goes to the ranch and they're all there, and you see the Charles Manson cameo and stuff, and it's like, do Do you know what I mean? It was good. I really enjoyed it, and obviously the ending's just fucking nuts in it. But that's what he does.
Yeah, no spoilers here though. So lockdown, what's been the best thing you've watched? If you could recommend anything that you've watched in a man of good taste.
Well, I'm not going to be very original here, but say documentary-wise, it's got to be Netflix's The Last Dance. It's the reason everyone's raving about it because it's that fucking good.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? I mean, I know you could write what I know about basketball on the back of a stamp. I know nothing about it. I remember Michael Jordan when I was growing up was everywhere, and you know everyone was raving about him. Air Jordans were everywhere, and obviously Space Jam, and he was the big basketball star. But I was never a big basketball fan. I was always into my football, so I didn't follow it. So I knew Dennis Rodman because of his character, and again, he was always in the media. I'd heard of the likes of Scotty Pippen and Ron Harper and a couple of others, but I didn't know a lot about them.
Yeah.
But it's more than that. You know, you don't have to be a basketball fan to like The Last Dance. You know, you don't have to be a boxing fan to like When We Were Kings or whatever. You know, these good sports documentaries elevate it beyond that sport, and it's just fascinating. It's just a fascinating look at not just that team and what it achieved, but the personalities behind it, the way, you know, the background influence, the arguments that went on with the staff and the management and the owners. Michael Jordan, who's just an amazing, fascinating character. His sort of rise and how he became the player he was, and his desire to win. Just got so many different sides to it that I was just engrossed. I was gutted when it ended, to be honest with you.
Yeah. Really, I caught the last one yesterday morning and absolutely loved it. I was a massive NBA fan back in the 90s, like NBA Jam and everything. I had all that, but I had the Chicago Bulls tops and all that. But me,
well, you do look like a basketball player.
I think so, yeah. More like Steve Kerr than Michael Jordan, I would say. But it did have like a normal. It had like a narrative arc, didn't it? I suppose, just to get technical.
Yeah.
You know, very much a rise, a rags to riches story. But the bits about his dad, I completely forgot about all that until
really? I didn't. That was mad because I didn't. I mean, it sounds crazy, but I didn't see it coming in the documentary because I forgot. You know, like you think, you'd remember that, wouldn't you?
Yeah, because it was like a cliffhanger, and then like, shit, did that happen?
When it was building up to, like, he didn't get seen for 3 weeks. I'm thinking, what the fuck happened to Michael Jordan's dad here? Well, you know what I mean? I was expecting him. So I was like, what? And then you think, oh yeah, I forgot about that. It was like, and the weird thing is, when a lot of this was popping off and that, we were like, me and you were a similar age, so you're quite young when it happened.
Yeah,
it wasn't the internet, which changes things really. People forget that. Like now, if there's a news story, it's all over the internet. You can check it out. You can read about it. You can get into all the theories behind it. You can hear all the quotes, get all the quotes. You can get every detail about that story. Whereas back in the day, you know, it would have made the news, but it wouldn't have been everywhere in terms of, I can just go and read it. I can just go and pick up my phone and you know, Google it. None of that was about. So you probably didn't get the sort of the saturation that you get now with a news story like that, especially at that age that we were at. I think if you'd have been 30, you'd have fucking been all over it. So it was, it's weird because you're thinking, I forgot that. Yeah, wow. And then how he dealt with that and how he had to sort of try, and the accusations as well, it must have been horrible. You know, people trying to tie it to his gambling and shit. It was fucking horrible.
Can you imagine him having to ride the storm if we did have social media then, and he had the gambling habits, or all the sort of the trolls and all that on social media that he'd be getting? It'd be incredible. It
would, wouldn't it? I mean, it's like, you know, people were saying, I think the point was made during the documentary, you know, he became this worldwide global superstar even in some countries where basketball wasn't that popular without social media. You know, he did it just because his talent was that good.
Yeah.
You know, again, it's like, I keep bringing it back to it, but it's like Muhammad Ali with boxing, becomes almost bigger than the sport. You know, people that don't necessarily follow boxing loved Ali. And it's like that with Michael Jordan. You know, you're a lad from Levenshulme who's got a fucking Michael Jordan top. All right, you like basketball, but you know, I remember seeing kids with, you know, Michael Jordan stuff on, and they didn't know shit about basketball. They fucking didn't know. You know, who he played for. They knew he played for. They didn't know anything about it. Probably didn't know the fucking rules. But he was that big that everyone loved him, and everyone, you know, he's on adverts, and you know, the film Space Jam. Obviously, he played himself, which is a massive hit. usually those sort of films die in the water, don't they? When you get a sports person
remaking that, actually, while we're talking about films, I think they're doing a new Space Jam.
Really?
Yeah, I believe so. Yeah.
You know, what with this same people? Is Michael Jordan going to come like back?
They're all cartoons, Jay. So I don't think they're fucking.
We're like Bugs Bunny and all that, getting on a bit now.
Yeah. I'm not too. I think they're keeping the same story, but I think they might be using LeBron James or someone of his stature in. But I really hate remakes and stuff like that. I just don't see it's typical Hollywood though, that they don't seem to want new content or new stories. They're quite happy to just rebrand and package old movies, aren't they, and just send them out again. This is my big beef with. If anyone's watching this, I fucking hate superhero films. It's the same shit over it. Yeah, I know. Yeah, he's got Iron Man and Superman.
I'm in. By the way, can I just add a caveat? I'm in my my kids' room. This isn't my room.
Yeah, comic room. Yeah,
yeah. Yeah, been locked in here for days. But no, this is my me two youngest room, and they're big superhero fans. Fair enough. I mean, fun enough, having kids has got me back into superhero films. I was never a massive superhero fan, but Avengers, my kids love the Avengers films. And I've got into them and I actually enjoy them. I enjoy myself. But no, going back to your earlier comment about remakes. No, I was talking to my missus last night and we were talking about we're watching The Chase, and the film Alfie was one of the questions.
Oh, I love the original.
Yeah, and I was talking about he breaks the fourth wall, he talks to the audience, Michael Caine at his best, fucking brilliant. And the remake with Jude Law is one of the worst films I've ever fucking seen in my life. And again, it's really annoying, the fact that it's a remake of such a classic, and they've done it so badly.
Yeah, and it's actually got two of the things that I really love in cinema. Well, it's filmed in Manchester, isn't it, Alfie? A lot of the scenes were.
Yeah, but this annoys me because they do this all the time. They film it in Manchester, and they don't do this all the time. But they film it in Manchester and pretend it's somewhere else. I was going to say they pretend it's New York, which they don't do that all the time in Manchester because it's fucking nonsense. But he pretends he's meant to be set in New York, and it's not. And I think, why not just say he's in England, or he's in even if he said London, you get away with it. But it just doesn't work at all. That film, it's not funny, it's not sad, it's nothing. And the original, you really get involved, don't you? And you care about him and you enjoy it. But Jude Law, and it's not even just Jude Law's fault. The script's shocking. It's just a shit film.
Yeah. Definitely not one for recommending. That and City Rats do not put on your watch list this week. Right, I wanted to try and, as it's our first show, we'll probably try and keep the topics light. So we're going to talk about Woody Allen now, Justin. Jay. So Woody Allen's film somehow is global box office #1, which is fucking weird considering none of us are allowed out of our house. So I'm not too sure how he's done it, and I'm not too sure if the film's been allowed to be released in America. I know a lot of the film festivals won't play A Rainy Day in New York, but I wanted to talk about cancel culture and how you feel about that. And I know it's a heavy issue to get kicked off with, but I thought it's quite current with the film coming out. And obviously Woody Allen's recently released his autobiography again, which his publisher dropped because of the allegations, which would be fine, but there weren't any new allegations that they weren't there when he signed the contract for his autobiography. So I'm curious as to why they would do that now, and why are so many actors? Why it seems like there's a wave from the same incident that seemed to happen that is still haunting Woody Allen today. But there are certain subjects out there where that doesn't happen to. If you look at Tupac, was charged with sexual assault, went to prison for it. People are still banging Tupac, never brought up, never slagged off. Mike Tyson seems to have reinvigorated his career. Convicted rapist. Woody Allen, and I'm not saying he did or he didn't do what he was supposed to do, but he hasn't in the court of law been charged. And I think they trialed it twice. But yet America won't touch his films.
Well, I don't think it even went to trial.
Did it not? Did not go? I know they got trial. They investigated it, didn't they?
Yeah, they got investigated. I don't think he ever stood trial for it. I've done a lot of research on this. I'm a massive Woody Allen fan. For what it's worth, people can argue with me and dispute it, but I don't think he did what he's accused of. And I've looked at a lot of different articles, different statements about it. And all I do implore you to do is do that. Make up your own mind. Look at that. Look at the statements from, not just from Mia Farrow and others, but look at some of the other Farrow children. Is it Moses and obviously Soon Yi, Previn, who he married. And I think what happens with Woody Allen, a lot of people conflate that because he married his stepdaughter. People go, well, he's obviously a paedophile, or he's obviously this. But you need to look at it a little. I'm not justifying marrying your stepdaughter, but there's different. You need to get a bit deeper. That they didn't live together. He didn't know that well. I'm not justifying it, but it's not a case of this is my daughter where I'm raising her, and then when she gets to an age, I'm marrying her.
Yeah,
it's a little bit different to that. And they've been married, I think, for 25 years or whatever. So, I mean, again, just look into it. It's all, I think, I think Robert Wide, I think, if you can Google him, he's done a lot of good research on it. A lot of holes in the accusations, why they don't really make sense in terms of when the affair came out with Soon Yi, or it came out that he was leaving Mia Farrow for Soon Yi, on the last day he sees the family, that's when he's accused of doing what he's done, which, again, but make your own mind up. You don't have to agree with me. You don't have to disagree with me. Just do a bit of research, because I think personally, I just think it doesn't quite add up to me. And I think what's happened with Woody Allen is, let's not forget these allegations were in 92, I think. Yeah. In 2002, he was at the Oscars imploring filmmakers to come back to New York after the September 11 bombings, where he got September 11 incident, and he got a standing ovation.
Yeah.
The whole auditorium, the whole Oscars stand up and applaud him. He's a hero. 10 years after these accusations. Fast forward another 18 years after these accusations, and no one wants to work with him. Have the accusations changed? No. Has any new evidence come to light? No. What's happened is culture's changed. The Me Too movement. Part of the thing with Woody Allen is it Ronan Farrow has been one of the main investigators of Harvey Weinstein. He's very prominent. Yeah. And obviously he's supposedly Woody Allen's son, although Mia Farrow said it could be Frank Sinatra's son. You can make it out what you will. So he's quite vocal against Woody Allen. Other people are chiming in. Actors who've worked with Woody Allen said they won't work with him again. For me, it's sad. And it's sort of, he's been a victim of this. Victim is the wrong word for some people, but I think he has been a victim of cancel culture, where it's like, right now, we don't agree with you, or not even don't agree with you. You're accused of something, regardless of whether you're found not guilty of it, we're still going to cancel you. And I think that's a frustrating thing for Woody Allen. Is he's trying to say, he said he's an innocent man. He hasn't been charged or convicted of anything.
Yeah.
Putting him, I think most people now probably think he is guilty, and that to me is a bit unfair, because had he been convicted, fair enough. I wouldn't be sitting here defending him. I'd be saying I wouldn't watch another Woody Allen film again, because it'd be tainted for me. But he hasn't, so I don't know. With Woody Allen, I think it's a bit of a different one than, say, someone like Bill Cosby or Harvey Weinstein or whoever. Someone. It's the same. Same with Michael Jackson. Has he been convicted? Where do you come stand with that? There's an argument there, but with some people, with Harvey Weinstein, I think everyone knows he's guilty and he got rightly convicted.
He's been convicted of it, as you say. But there's got to be some sort of level in terms of if you charge us, because I'd hate for anyone I know to have an accusation again. I know we won't say what it's for. I think Hudson Odoi just been arrested for something. We won't speculate on what that was supposed to be. But that sort of stuff doesn't stick with footballers, whether they're found guilty or not. I know Van Persie had some history of certain stuff. But I want to know what is the reason why Mike Tyson has been allowed to, why has he sort of been forgiven in the eyes of the media now? And I'm not nothing against Mike, but you'd say Woody Allen is more of a sort of, has given more to culture for films rather than Mike Tyson hasn't so much post boxing.
I think there's several reasons. I mean, going back to that original incident with was it Desiree Washington? I forget the name. Forgive me. People almost had the attitude of, well, what did she expect? She went to a hotel room with Mike Tyson. That was almost his defense, which is no defense whatsoever. Just because you go to a hotel with someone doesn't mean you should be expected to be the victim of rape. So it's nonsense. But it was almost, that was the attitude of a lot of people. And I think, a lot of people as well, had Mike Tyson been a 70-year-old man or a 60-year-old man whose career was over, it might have been difficult for him, but he was still in his early 20s when it happened, or his mid-20s. Yeah. He still had in terms of sporting abilities, a lot to give the sport. So it was easy for some people to go, he's still talented, he's still entertaining to watch as a fighter. There's a bit of doubt in my mind as to whether he's as guilty as everyone thinks. So I'm going to go with that. And also, he's got this bad boy persona, which, you know, so that ties in with it, which it doesn't to me. You can be a bad boy without being a sex offender. So I think he got away with it because of those factors, because of the doubt in some people's minds, not in mine personally, but that he was guilty or as guilty as is made out, or whatever that means. The fact he still had a lot to offer the sport, he was exciting, his bad boy persona, it all sort of tied him in that. And I think, you know, he has been rehabilitated, and I do find it a little bit. I do know I'm in the minority. I know this, and a lot of my friends don't agree with me, but, you know, this sounds crackers, but, you know, I'm watching The Hangover, and it's like Mike Tyson, this funny guy, and he's laughing, you know, he's in a, you know, making jokes in hotel rooms and knocking people out. It's all fun and games, and it's like, he's just sort of moved on from it all, hasn't he? And no one really, you know, people have just sort of gone, oh yeah, you know, well, we'll never know, whatever. And I think he gets a pass on that, doesn't he? And I don't know, it doesn't sit as well with me, to be honest, personally.
And if you're looking at the crime that Mike Tyson done, and like I said, if she's gone up to his bedroom, what was she expecting? Let's draw the parallels there then with the Kevin Spacey incident, because the people that you know, the Kevin Spacey allegations are very similar, aren't they? Because there's been people saying, well, if the young lad's gone up to Kevin Spacey's bedroom, what else was he expecting to happen? Kevin Spacey's been Kevin Spacey's been cancelled off the planet. Do you know what I mean? I don't think he'll be making an appearance in House of Cards. You know,
well, you know, am I wrong in thinking that he might be on there's some sort of rehabilitation there, some sort of route back? I might be wrong here. Forgive me. But I think
what do you pay? I see he let out a clip at Christmas, didn't he, or something like that?
Yeah, I mean, am I getting sort of? Am I putting two together and coming up with 12?
I don't know. Yeah. But why is it like for me? I thought it'd be. I mean, if you we could touch on other people. So if let's say,
no, you're right. Sorry, yeah, he's spoken out about it and the allegations, and yeah, I think you are right. That he is a big victim of cancel culture.
Yeah.
Well, but you know, you could argue the thing with cancel culture, some of it you think, all right, that's justified because, for example, would I go and watch Bill Cosby doing stand-up when he gets out of prison if he's even in prison? You know, you wouldn't. Or, you know, it's ridiculous. Michael Barrymore, would I want to watch another TV show with him on?
No.
Yeah, no, I wouldn't. It's distasteful, I think. So I was annoyed when he was on this morning or whatever he was on the other week, and I think he's still, you know, no one knows what happened at his house, and you know, it's just been brushed on the carpet. I think, you know, there's certain things that you need to address there. So certain times in cancel culture, I get it, because I think you can't have this wacky, funny personality and then have these horrible crimes that you're either responsible for, you know something about, and just expect your audience to go, oh, it doesn't matter, brush that to one side, let's just enjoy the laughs. But sometimes it goes too far, and I've had friends who've been victim of it. You know, we've had old tweets dug out, taken out of context in some cases, and used against them.
Yeah,
and then lost work because of it, or people have tried to hammer them for it. And sometimes it is just a case of attitudes change. Sometimes things you've said in the past were acceptable at the time, not anymore. There's that element. Sometimes you make mistakes, and some mistakes are forgivable. You know, I'm wearing my heart on my sleeve. I used to drink and do drugs. I don't anymore. I'm sober, but you know, I've said things when I've been out of my head that I regret saying. Now, had I wrote them down on a tweet or whatever and posted it, or I'd said it on camera, that could have come back to bite me in the ass 20 years later. Do you know what I mean? And it's like, sometimes you have to say, all right, well, for a prime example is Mel Gibson. You know, I'm not justifying what Mel Gibson said. It was disgusting. It was ridiculous. He made an absolute knob of himself. Does that end his career? Does that deserve, you know, him being drunk and saying anti-Semitic things to a policeman? Should that be the end of Mel Gibson, or should he get a chance at redemption?
Yeah,
you know, you have to ask yourself these things, and I think there's different shades to it. Some crimes, I think, you in terms of
beyond sort of
you know, Harvey Weinstein's never going to work again if he ever sees the light of day, and rightly so. You know, Bill Cosby will probably never ever work again. You wouldn't expect him to, but then someone like Mel Gibson has carried on working. You know, he's had people stick up for him. Now, doesn't matter, you know, you might have a different opinion that you may say, I'm never watching a Mel Gibson film ever again, but he still managed to have a career after what he did. But sometimes it just gets a little bit silly, and you get on this thing, especially on social media, where people go after someone relentlessly with an agenda and try and end the career. And
Yeah.
it's like, sometimes it goes a bit far for me, where I think, okay, the crime that this person's done, he said something stupid when they were 18 years old.
Yeah, I know. Kevin.
Stormzy is an example. Stormzy is an example. He made some homophobic comments.
Yeah.
And there was almost a cancel culture. Stormzy's got to go. We can't be listening to Stormzy. And I think he did the right thing. He addressed it.
Yeah.
He addressed it head on. And he said, you know what? I was wrong. I was fucking out of order. My attitudes then, I was a teenage, angry young man. He was ignorant. And I'm ashamed of it. And I'm sorry. And I'm going to do my best to be a positive force and to reach out to members of the community I've offended. And I think he has done.
Yeah, Kevin Hart was very similar as well. I think he said something homophobic about 5-6 years ago. He'd already apologized for them, and then again they resurfaced when he was about to. I think he was hosting the Oscars. Dave Chappelle touched this on his fantastic.
Brilliant, yeah, brilliant.
So yeah, and he was another one, and he'd already apologized for it, but the Oscars said you've got to apologize again. He goes, well, why am I doing that? This stuff was here before. Like, what research do these people do? Do you know what I mean? Beforehand,
I mean, it's funny because Dave Chappelle touched on it, didn't he? He said, Kevin Hart's the only comedian who probably had that few offensive things he'd ever said.
Yeah.
To find him. Anyone else would have been loads, but they managed to, to bring it up again. He'd already apologized for him, and then they try to cancel him, and he loses a gig that he really wanted.
Yeah.
And it's a shame, and there has to be a balance. Listen, some things are out of order. Some things you can't just excuse with, well, it was 20 years ago. If you was like saying outrageously racist or homophobic things 20 years ago, that doesn't mean it's okay. 20 years ago wasn't some magical time where you could just say what you wanted and none of it was offensive. But you have to put things in context, and you have to give people the opportunity to rehabilitate themselves.
Yeah.
Like everyone deserves a second chance within reason. No, I'm not saying
there needs to be some sort of cultural prison system where you go in the sin bin. Do you know what I mean? For a bit.
I like that.
for certain things. I think that's what go and have a word with yourself, have a good look in the mirror, come back, apologize, and then we crack on. Because it does, and I get fearful of that sometimes on my Twitter. I've got and I've not got anything on there. That's not like a challenge for someone to go and find some shit. But you don't know what you've done when you've had a drink or anything like that, or wrote something and you're thinking, shit, that might come up and haunt me in the future.
I wrote an article once for this United blog I was writing for, and it was 10 reasons or 100 reasons why United are evil, and it was a joke, right? And it was like their name, the Red Devils, is because they're actually in league with Beelzebub. And they're an evil, and it was just taking a piss because the media was slamming us. And one of the reasons I put was there are people who sit behind Sir Alex Ferguson who have beards. Peter Sutcliffe had a beard, Harold Shipman had a beard, and someone else had a beard. I can't remember who the third person was. So obviously, anyone with a beard is evil, right? Now, I offended the Sikh community or members of the Sikh community because the people that sat behind Sir Alex Ferguson were Sikhs. And an article came up saying that I was racist.
Right.
Racist journalist. The article first labeled me white. This white journalist is racist. But people were commenting saying, you've not read the article. He's not saying that. It's a joke. Yeah. He's not even mentioned that, he's not going anti-Sikh. He's not anti-anything. He's making a joke about beards and most of the comments were like, you've got the wrong end of the stick. But someone had written this and posted it online, like a blog or whatever. And then someone reached out to me and said, have you seen this? So I just shit myself because it was like, you Google my name and it was coming up. Racist. And I was like, oh. And anyone that knows me, I'm a massive fucking vocal opponent of racism. And it's for me to sort of be tarnished that brush is fucking heinous. It's horrible.
Yeah.
So I wrote an article, a response. And I said, listen, this is what the article's about. It's a joke. If you read these, there's a nonsense. It was like, 3 of United's best players are Gary Pallister, Yap Starman, someone else, Paul Pogba, whatever. They have the number 6. That makes 666. That's the sign of the devil. It was just ridiculous shit. Like to how, United are evil or whatever. I said, it's just nonsense, but I'm really sorry if I offended anyone. That wasn't my intention. I'm not in a position where I can speak for any members of different communities. I've amended the article. I've taken out that line. I was proper contrite. Do you know what I mean? Because I'm not gonna lie to you, I fucking panicked. I was like, oh my god. I mean, I should have just said, you've got it fucking wrong. This is a load of bollocks.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? But I didn't want to go down that route. And I was just like, and then the actual article itself that this woman had written, I spoke to them and I was like, can we get this taken down? Because it's just not true. I said, for starters, it's telling lies about me. Do you know what I mean? And it was up for about a week or whatever, and then it got took down. And I don't think if you Google it, I don't think it comes up.
Yeah.
But it was horrible because I was like, even though I knew I'd done nothing wrong, and even though
you feel guilty, I mean, it's horrible. It's like being accused of something you haven't done in it, I suppose.
Yeah. And it was. This was before cancel culture was a thing, but that could have been, if I'd have gone for a job and they Google my name and that comes up, fuck off. Unless you're going for a job at the EDL.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? No thank. Well,
I could just imagine some scene in a parallel universe where you've gone in, and then like you've got a Sikh person behind the interview.
Yeah. Oh, you're the one. You're Jay Motty.
Jay Motty. He doesn't look right.
Wait a minute. Are you a United fan? Did you ever write an article? But yeah, it was horrible, mate. And I was shitting myself.
Why do you think? I mean, do you think that we are moving towards an ever less forgiving society then, or is it just the everybody wants to be famous, so they just sort of jump on the clickbait? You know what I mean? And trolling. What is it? Because the two very different spheres, aren't they? What people will say in public. It's a person to person, and then what they'll say on social media. But I just wonder, is that creeping into our psyche as humans, or is it very much a social media phenomenon? Do you think?
I don't know. I think there's a little bit of outrage there, sort of false outrage. Where
I'm so people when someone dies and like that. Like it's horrible when anyone dies, but if he was like a supporting actor of a sitcom in the 1980s that aired 4 times,
I'll never forget when Fabrice Muamba had his heart attack, and a lad I know tweeted like football was, that day was being played, and he went, "Oh, Juventus have just scored or whatever," and someone tweeting back saying Fabrice Muamba has nearly died. Show some respect. And I'm like, all right, it's one thing tweeting something horrible about someone, but just tweeting your normal stuff and not acknowledging something, you suddenly getting this was like 9 or 10 years ago, whenever it was, and we've gotten worse now. And it's like you're right. R.I.P. someone I've never heard of. Now I get some people, if you're in that world or that's something to you, I like certain things that other people may not care about.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So I might tweet something about someone dying from from say, I'm a big Seinfeld fan, say someone from Seinfeld passed away. I tweet about, it just happened recently, Jerry Stiller.
Yeah.
I care about that. I love Seinfeld. Jerry Stiller was a fantastic actor, big part of that show. Love him. So I'm all over that. Whereas a lot of people that follow me are a lot younger, may not know who he is, may not care. No one's giving me grief for that. But, I get it that you can tweet or you can post things that matter to you that might not matter to someone else. But there seems to be this thing now where it's like almost like bullying. Like you've got to, like you've got to acknowledge it. You've got to say something. You can't just say nothing. And I think sometimes, I think Caroline Flack's agent or manager, he said something a few months ago when she died that I liked, and he said, nowadays it's not even about saying something nice about someone. If you see something that you don't really like or someone that you don't really like, you don't always have to comment on it.
Yeah.
You don't always have to say, oh, what the fucking state are you, or whatever. And it's the same if someone dies and you don't care about it, you don't have to mention it. I mean, to be honest, you don't have to.
No.
You know what I mean? No, it's like, it's like if someone dies in your life and you don't really like, you don't go to the fucking funeral. So you don't have to acknowledge it. That's okay. It's not, there's a difference between that and saying something horrible.
But I do feel sometimes, and I'm guilty of it myself, is that I think sometimes I've worked for the BBC, is that sometimes I think, do I need to be saying RIP for a certain, do you know what I mean? I'm like, I mean, but they didn't really have a massive impact on my life, but about nearly everyone I follow is saying it. Will they think something horrible of me if I don't say it? And that's just a fucked up thing in my mind. But I don't know if I'm the only person that has that.
You know what it is? It's like Dele Alli the other day. Dele Alli got robbed. you know, and I saw that and I was saddened for him, and I hope he's okay. I don't think I mentioned it. I might have liked to tweet about it if someone was saying, hope he's okay or whatever. I didn't post about it, and then I'm thinking, well, do I need to?
Yeah.
Do I need to show everyone that I give a shit, that I care? Do you know what I mean? Will I get sticky if I don't acknowledge this? Or will people think, well, why? Or do people think, oh, well, just because you're a United fan? And you start getting in your own head about it all.
Yeah.
You know, it's just like, what's the right thing to do? And I just thought, go me fucking gut and not say anything.
Yeah.
But you get into that. And I think going back to your original question, there is an element of outraged of people just being angry and outraged at things that don't really matter to them a lot of the time. People have an opportunity now to voice it straight away, almost directly to someone if you're outraged with them. You know, back in the day, if a celebrity or someone did something wrong, you couldn't fucking tell them about it. Now you can, they might not see it, but there's a good chance, there's a possibility they will. You can tweet them or message them about it.
Yeah.
So you've got the chance that you can show others how outraged you are. And I think people get sometimes carried away. Listen, there's a reason to be angry, and I get it. You know, we're in the middle of a pandemic. You can question the government's actions. You can question what's going on in the world. You know, I do it. Anyone who follows me on social media, you know, will notice I tweet a lot about politics, about our leaders, about what I think they're doing wrong and stuff like that. There's nothing wrong with being angry and nothing wrong with being outraged and questioning things. I think sometimes, like cancel culture, again, at times it's right, but sometimes it all goes a bit too far.
There we go. Hey, what a heavy topic that was for our first episode. Let's end up.
I thought me and you know, I thought we were just going to talk about our time in Malia and fucking.
You stopped drinking, mate, and I'm on and off the wagon, you know. So I didn't want to go down that road.
No. Let me be an example to you.
Yeah, there's too many skeletons in that.
What not to do? Yeah.
Right. We'll move on to, for the last 10 minutes, something that's returning, whether it should or not, something close to our hearts. Football. Bundesliga came back at the weekend. Did you watch it? I fell asleep halfway through. It was dire. I
don't want anything to do with it, mate.
I've had enough.
No, I don't like. I don't think it should be going ahead. I don't really give a shit about the Bundesliga anyway. You're being used as an example for, all right, well, let's bring it back over here to doing it in Germany. People are already turning on players that don't want to get involved. I think Troy getting a load of shit because he cares about his son and he's asking legitimate questions about why more black and ethnic minority people are being affected. No one can give him an answer, but they expect him to turn up for training anyway. It's a fucking farce. And this isn't because I'm a United fan. Listen, I wanted United to finish the season. We'd have got in the top four. We'll get in the top four. We could have won 2 trophies. Could have been a very good end to the season, regardless of whether the Scousers win the title. Well, they would have won the title, but it still would have been a good season for United, and we'd be watching Champions League football next season. But I think this is a joke, and I think it's unfair, and I think it's become completely bipartisan now. You know, and like Troy Deeney's getting loads of stick. Oh, because you're in a relegation battle. The guy's laying his heart on the line and saying, "My son has breathing problems. I've got concerns." Troy Deeney doesn't strike me like someone who's a shrinking violet and who's soft. Do you know what I mean? He's a sort of quite an alpha male.
Yeah.
And he's being honest about it, and he's got legitimate concerns. And you know what? I'd be the same. I'd be exactly the same if it was my kid, and I couldn't guarantee 100% that this isn't going to put him at risk. I wouldn't fucking do it.
Yeah, definitely.
And so, you know, going back to the whole Bundesliga thing, I think it is connected to this, and it's just football without the fans. I don't know. I'm not really into it anyway, and I think people are using the Bundesliga now to justify what's going on over here, which is hated it for me as well. So I just can't really get into it, mate. I can't get on board. Yeah,
it was terrible. It was like a training session or like a World Cup qualifier between 2 teams that aren't going to qualify. Do you know what I mean? It was the atmosphere was terrible. One thing, because there was no atmosphere. What I thought was funny though was that you could actually send cardboard cutouts to the Bundesliga. And there were a few notable people that turned up. Harold Shipman made an appearance at Red Bull Leipzig. And for anyone that's outside of the Northwest, you may not know the name Purple Aki. I believe
Purple Aki. I was Purple Aki making it. Yeah, the Northwest Impact.
A cardboard cutout of Purple Aki, who is known as something of the, would you say, boogeyman of the Northwest that used to go around touching muscles?
Yeah, well, he's called the Northwest Gym Pest, isn't he? And people who are not from the Northwest must be like, what the fuck are you on about?
Google Purple Aki.
He was a guy he was in jail and he had the reputation in prison of squeezing people's muscles in the gym. And then he took that outside in, and he was known throughout like St. Helens, Warrington, Manchester, Liverpool, Oldham, whatever, going around town centres and squeezing lads' muscles. I remember I saw him once in Wigan, and he didn't touch my muscles. I was gutted.
I was gonna say, did you get offended there?
Yeah, I was like, I need to start working out. But yeah, he became like this almost Kaiser Soze figure. Kaiser Soze, if Kaiser Soze was a sexually inappropriate man.
Well, that's two good links. Oh, this has been Scotty and Motty for our first episode, and we will leave it on that. Google Purple Aki, and we'll see you next week.
Right, bro. One sec. Don't forget to give us a like, share, and a subscribe. We're starting this; it's all new, so we want some subscribers, people to get involved. Give us a share, support us. We're going to keep these going as often as we can. So we appreciate your support. Thanks.
Yeah, click the subscribe and drop any comments about what you want to talk about next week. That'd be great.